We be live. I want everyone in the live chat to congratulate Susanna right now for her 1 year anniversary of being a CEO.
Aww.
Yesterday was Susanna's 1 year anniversary for being Atheist Republic CEO. And the only reason why you guys notice the dramatic shift in how much content we're producing and how much more effective we are in the past year is because Susanna is a CEO, obviously. So congratulations to Susanna. Congratulations in the live chat. Anybody in the live chat that is not congratulating Susanna will be banned immediately. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Aw, thank you.
Hmm.
So many people had so many
Yeah, I
nice
saw.
things to say. It
Hmm.
made me want to cry.
It's easy to make you cry, to be fair.
It is though, but that's
Yeah.
a good thing. I mean, lately I've been crying a lot more than usual, but that's just because I'm happier than usual. So
Mm,
it's not a
mm,
bad thing.
mm.
But yeah, I literally couldn't do it without the support of our community. And
Hmm.
I know that's kind of like a cheesy thing to say, but it
Yeah, it
is
is
so
very.
true.
I'm so
It's so
grateful for
true.
our community. I'm so proud of it. It does a meme now, by the way. You just did a meme. I'm so proud of our community.
It's
That's
a
like
meme now?
it's a meme since ever since YouTube Rewind's cringy. Yeah, it's a cringe
Oh,
meme.
I remember that.
I'm so proud of our community. Yeah.
No, but seriously, like so many people help us. Like, I need information about something. They're like, I'll connect you with lawyers. Like, I need to know something about the website. People are like, I'll do it for you. Like
Hmm.
so many. I express that I need help with something. People are like, how can I help you do what you do better? It's
Right.
amazing. It's so amazing.
I do want to remind everybody that even though Susie is great and she's our CEO, we're Atheist Republic as an organization is still very much committed to patriarchy as a value. No, we are not going to betray our values at Atheist Republic. Okay, just because we have a female CEO, it doesn't mean that we're going to change that. True, it's a time and tested tradition. Societies have been built on this value. Okay, so don't let it get to your head. Okay, just because we have a female CEO, that doesn't mean that we don't understand the male superiority. Yeah, just wanted to make that clear. It's in our
And thank you for
constitution.
once again giving us a prime example of why I am the CEO and
Yeah.
why you said that it is a. I remember one time I was like, "Oh, people don't know who I am. You're the face of Atheist Republic," and you're like, "Yeah, and that's a problem."
No, and by the way, I understand Armin wants to say he exists. We should praise him too. No, that's the thing. It's only
Oh,
women that need praising because everybody knows like the value of men is so given and so assumed that you don't even need to talk about it. It's just like everybody just knows. Everybody knows that everything is done by men. That's why you have
no,
to
I
praise
didn't finish.
women because men don't really need it because everybody knows what's happening. Yeah.
I was also gonna say thank you once again for demonstrating why we don't grow, but that's not true. We are growing. We just hit
Right.
31K.
Oh yay! And that's yeah. All right.
Thank you
Where?
for all the nice words in the live chat. Oh, but I
Yeah.
actually have a little bit of like a mini announcement. Um,
There we go.
Speaking of, because like our amazing community, I know there's lots of people who are like looking for ways that they can help. One thing that, one thing that I need help with is writing stories. So if you're interested in writing news stories for our site, that we then discuss at the end of the week, please let me know. You can reach out to me on Instagram, which is the link in the description below, or at my email, which is Susanna, Susanna, at atheistrepublic.com.
Oh wait, your audio is low. God damn.
Oh, no.
Okay. I fixed it.
Thank you, Gossam.
Guys, why didn't you tell us at the beginning? Thank you, Rassam. All right, I fixed Susanna's audio. Guys, the reason why Susanna's audio is low is sometimes me and Susanna, when we're working, we're watching something, and the audio of that thing is very low, and I have to increase the audio of my computer, and then Susie says something, and then I have to go like this because yeah. So I have to reduce her audio so that the high volume of my anyway, I did too much detail. But then I forget
I
that
always be yelling at him. um,
how come
and-
nobody told us until now? Like we're like 5 minutes into the
well,
show.
let's not harp on it.
No,
because
I'm
we
gonna
have
ban
one-
everybody
Oh my
except Gossam.
God. We have
Yeah.
one more announcement,
Okay,
and
go
that
ahead.
is that, well, it's Suha's birthday today.
Yes, but Suha said audio is great when your audio was low. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna congratulate Suha. She sent that message when your audio was low. So Suha, I know it's your birthday, but I'm sorry.
Well,
No
I'll say happy birthday to you, Suha.
No congratulations for Soha.
Thank you to one
yeah.
of our best and most committed mods. Anyways, guys, send us your questions for this week. And wait, I think Ghost Bunny started us off with our first question. Okay,
right,
here we go. Question from Ghost Bunny. What goal do you think humanity is not focused enough on achieving? Oh, this is a good question. I'm not saying that this is the most important goal, because I don't think it is, but I think global secularism is a big one.
Mapping the brain.
Oh, you're so right.
Saving humanity from everything, basically, which involves mapping the brain. Actually, Obama funded that. I think the best thing Obama ever did was fund mapping the brain. I don't think people understand how important this is. We will be able to, guys, hunger, war, poverty, disease, death itself, everything will be solved once we figure out how the brain works. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm hearing echo. I'm not even exaggerating. Everything will be solved the moment we figure out how this box of wires processes information. Once we figure out how this box of wires between our skull, in our skull, not between, we have only one skull, in our skull, once we figure out how this box of wires actually stores and processes information, we will be able to upload, transfer information. We will become free from this meaty flesh, from this carbon-based limited body, and we will become like gods. Nobody will go hungry. Nobody will die. There will be no diseases. There will be no lack of resources. There will be no war. There will be nothing. Nothing. The whole world should stop worrying about religion, I don't know, politics and stuff. The whole world should get united on this. The whole world should get united on this. I don't know if people just understood how important this is. Everybody would put everything aside. Everybody's job. One reason why we focus on fighting against, I don't know, nationalism, religion, superstition is because of the fact that we're being distracted by things that don't matter instead of focusing on this one thing that matters more than everything else. Every second that we delay not doing this, figuring out how the brain works, operates, processes information, and stores information, is thousands of extra people, millions of extra people who are going to die that didn't need to die. Millions of people every second are going to be denied out of eternal pleasure and happiness and bliss because of our lack of attention. If we know how important this is, we will stop everything, and focus on this one thing. Anyways, that was my rant of the day.
Very true. By the way, your video and audio is a little choppy today.
Mine?
Yeah.
Was my audio choppy?
Not too bad. Just every now and then.
That was, and if you didn't get that, that was such a glorious rant, and you guys missed out on it.
No, we got it.
Okay, no. Okay.
Well, Brandon White is asking us what our favorite Looney Tunes character is. Did you ever watch Looney Tunes?
Oh wait, I blocked the wrong person. I was gonna block I was gonna block somebody on Facebook. Oh no, I did right one. I did it right. No, I was right. Correct. Okay, good. Yes, of
Wait.
course I watched Looney Tunes. Who didn't watch Looney Tunes? Are you kidding me?
Did you have a favorite character?
No, they were all annoying. Every single one of them was annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're all
Alright.
annoying. Annoying.
This is an interesting question. Gossams ever says, "Have you each of you ever been the subject of racism?" Yeah.
Yeah. Mildly. Yeah. Susanna has been a subject of racism a lot.
Not a lot.
Well, my defense, based on what you've told me, I know you don't see it. Okay, here's the thing. Based on the stories that Susanna has told me, she has been a subject of racism more for being white than me.
Maybe that's
I know.
true.
I know you don't. Yeah, I don't. I know. Like maybe a lot of white people are uncomfortable saying that they're a subject of racism, but I think you're real. Like you have evolved on that in the past couple of years, right? So you see racism, you notice it where it's there. But yeah, I mean, you have dealt with it way more than I have, but I have a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Nothing too big. But you, like the things that you has been said to you because of being white, like if it was said to me in that same way for my ethnicity or something like that, I would be like, what the, like it would be the most racist thing that I've ever experienced directed at me in my life. I'm not saying, by the way, this is just anecdotal. I'm not suggesting that white people. Oh, okay. Some idiots are going to feel like, oh, Armin says white people experience more racism than other people. No, I'm not saying that. Okay, this is just anecdotal. This is just between example between a comparison between me and Susanna. Susanna has experienced more racism for being white than me for being. Well, I want to say like Persian, but the people who were racist don't even know what I was, so it's not a fair.
Yeah, they just are like generalized Middle Eastern kind of looking dude. Is probably where their racism was coming from.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think there's still a part of me that like doesn't acknowledge that it's that bad because it's against like
Because
me.
it's been normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah, that which makes them more racist, in my opinion. No, like, can I say? I'm not gonna say what you did that had that reaction, but can I say what the people told you in response? What you told me yesterday. They say, "This is Susanna. This is the most." Can I say the full sentence?
Yeah, sure.
Just all right. So, like some of Susanna's friends, for example, this is like recent. This is not even this is not the worst one, but like just this is just us talking yesterday. Susanna does something, and people say like, "Wow, Susanna, this is the most white thing you have ever done." I'm like, and that's not a very big deal. But I imagine like if you said that to anybody else, for you know, I don't know, let's say like somebody tells an Arab or somebody like, "Wow, this is the most Arab thing you've ever done." We were like, "What the hell? That's like insane. This is insanely racist, right?" But apparently, like, if you say that to Susanna for being white, it's not racist. I don't know. It's obviously racist. Again, I understand that this is not systemic racism and it's not built within the structure of the society and all that. I know that. I've already argued those points. Blah 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 blah. But the fact that not maybe systemic forms of racism, but explicit forms of racism has become so normalized in society. It's a problem. It's an issue. Okay, I'm not saying like it's the end of the world and like, oh my god, this is like the end of Western civilization and the sky is falling or something like that. But it's a problem. Okay. Let's end
yeah, I know if anyone attributes your behavior to being Iranian, like you're extremely offended by that.
Yeah.
But
Oh, by the
Yeah, when I hear, I don't know. Yeah, it's just so
Wait, I wouldn't be.
normal.
What did you say? I would be offended by that?
No,
be
it's
offended by
only recently that I've started to be offended by stuff like that.
Yeah, because I made you notice. I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, anyways, but I do want to highlight this. Somebody saying I have experienced racism for being Jewish. No, yeah, I mean, it is the most common form everywhere on the goddamn planet, right? And
Most hate crimes in the United States are against Jewish people.
I think everywhere, everywhere, right? This is the most common form of racism, and it legitimizes the need for the existence of the state of Israel.
Yeah,
right? I mean, by a huge margin. Even in the United States, where people think that the most hate crimes are against Black people, if you actually look at the stat,
and no one talks about that either.
Well, some people do. It's against Jewish people, and by a huge margin. And again, for the idiots sitting in the back, hello, you guys, okay? I'm not dismissing the racism against Black people, and I'm not saying it's not an issue. Just because I'm saying that racism against Jewish people is a bigger deal by a huge margin, that does not mean that we should ignore the common racism against Black people. Okay, that's also a big deal. That's also needs to be addressed. But also, please, let's pay more attention, much more attention, to also, without ignoring the other ones. God, you see how we have to,
like, it's insane.
How we have to, like, every time explain that we're not dismissing every time we want to say, like, hey guys, racism against Jewish people is the biggest one, but we have to keep telling people, like, by the way, we're not dismissing those other ones, because everybody just assumes they just read into what we're saying.
It's so frustrating that we can't just have like a straight conversation.
I mean, to be fair though, to be fair to people who do get picky about what we're saying without clarifying, racist people do say stuff by not saying certain things. You know what I mean? Like, by highlighting something without giving the context, they're trying to broadcast the racism in that way. So it does become our responsibility to clarify every goddamn time. So it is annoying, but I guess you have to be responsible to make sure you give full context every time. Yeah. But it is annoying. I'm going to give context, and I'm going to say, when I say this, it doesn't mean this. I'm still going to do it just to be responsible, but I'm going to also complain about the fact that I have to do it, okay? It doesn't stop me from complaining about it. It is annoying. Anyways,
and well, I mean, and to clarify what I was saying, that no one talks about it, of course it's not literally no one, but what I mean is that it is not the anti-Semitic attacks that happen in the United States is not highlighted about is nearly as much as it should be, in my opinion. Sometimes I feel like people don't talk about it on purpose, but that's just a feeling.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. All right, let me see. Here was this. What is this one?
Will a country with a high population in the future become a superpower? Well, I mean, China's on the way up. India's on the way up.
Depends on your definition of superpower, and I don't think it's just because of them having a high population. I think AI is going to make high population less relevant, but that's a long term in the future. I don't think it's multifactorial. It's not just population, but high population right now is working very much in favor of China and India right now. But depends on what you mean by superpower. I mean, I think China and India are on their way to become superpowers, but I think a lot of people still underestimate the distance between them and United States and how long it's going to take for them to get there, right? Like, I mean, it's true that they are tomorrow's superpowers, but the margin, the distance is still very, very high.
There's an excellent question by Kenji. This is fantastic. Okay. Kenji is asking, my coworker recently told me they think tanning is inappropriate for white people to do because it is appropriating non-white skin. How would you respond to this woke nonsense peacefully? Okay, Kenji?
Walk away.
Your coworker might be insane, because I don't know if they know this, but other people than white people actually tan as well. Like, across the spectrum of humanity, people
can't
get
believe you
darker
actually
in the skin.
I can't believe either you and Kenji will take this person seriously enough to even
It's
to try to answer. I would be like, you are too far gone. I give up. I mean, I know, like, okay, if you have enough patience to deal with somebody like this, well, congratulations. I'm not saying don't. I would be like, I have better things to do. There are lower hanging fruits that I could reach out to. You have, you know, you live in cuckoo land. I hope you enjoyed it there. If somebody manages to ever save you, congratulations to them. I don't have enough patience for this level of stupidity. The fact that you two, you and Susanna and Kenji, are actually like, how do we respond to somebody like this? Like, you guys
they're just
have
dumb. Like,
no, like, I mean, I'm not dismissing the fact that you guys like are good enough to try, but I would be like, all right, bye.
is an albino person appropriating a skin tone that isn't their own? Like, I don't get it.
I still can't believe that you're trying to come up with some argument.
Let's say you had to address this person. You cannot walk away. What? You had to take them seriously.
Oh, I had to.
You had to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What would you do? What would you say?
I say, you are insane. You need help. You lack the basic abilities to analyze anything critically. Based on what you're telling me, there's nothing I can tell you that would convince you about how insane what you just told me is. The only thing I could suggest to you is to reevaluate how you think about everything, and go ask yourself, go look in a mirror and just look at yourself and ask yourself, how did I become this stupid? How am I this dumb? How am I this bad at processing information? That's how it was.
Mustafa is saying, I'm Sudanese and I get tan all the time, not on purpose. Who am I appropriating? South Sudanese people?
That's funny.
No, that's also what this is so mind-blowing on so many different levels. Like, I'm a white person. Am I just supposed to sit inside all day? I mean, I do, but I just don't go outside. Or is it like a tanning bed? Like a tanning bed where you're doing it very purposefully just for that look?
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think this question needs to be taken seriously by anybody. However, I do think that we need to be responsible and not to pretend like this is something like that the entire left believes in. Okay, this is like one thing we have to be careful, because one thing some right-leaning people do is they take insane comments like this and it's like red meat to their audience, right? But those people in the right wing, they're hypocrites, because their side also has insane takes on there are some fringe people on their side also that has red meat for the left-leaning people. Okay, so every time we highlight people like this and highlight comments like this, it is our responsibility to highlight the fact that this is not a common way of looking at things on any side, and make sure that one side doesn't use fringe insane takes like this as a way to paint a picture on how insane the entire ideological enemy on the other side is, right? So that's what I would suggest. Anyways,
and Kenji follows up with, it's hard to respond to wokeness without being accused of racism and sexism, etc. And I think they meant tanning beds specifically. And we were sitting at the time and I couldn't walk away.
Just laugh. How about laughing?
No, Kenji, what you need to do is, one, you got to use their tactics. You got to flip it and reverse it. Okay. So if they try to undermine you for that, you got to pull out whatever identity politics cards you have and flip it and reverse it on them. Okay. That's a pro tip. In terms of tanning beds, I have seen some people who tan just so dark that it looks like crazy and psycho. And I am surprised that the bodybuilding community hasn't been canceled for tanning, because there are some men who tan so dark, because I guess when you're darker, like you can see the definition in the veins more or something, but they'll tan like a completely different skin tone but below the neck, so their head's just a completely different color. I can't believe that, like, it's not blackface, it'd be like black body. Like, I can't believe that community hasn't been canceled yet.
Wait, no. I got it for you. You want to respond to somebody? Why are they so low res? Anyways, I don't care if it's low res.
Oh,
I'm
you
just
bring
gonna-
out your
M-
memes,
meme. Yes. Okay.
your secret
is-
folder of
This is the only way you need to respond. Okay. Wait. Yeah. Okay. This just do that. That's the only thing you need to say. All right. Wait, I saw something here. Why do people cherry pick from the Bible? Very general question. Depends on who you're talking about. Christians, atheists, who, how. Depends on what you're saying. Okay. All right. Read this one.
What's your secret talent? Easy.
Easy.
If I had a superpower, I think everyone has like mini superpowers. So my mini superpower is that I have insanely good facial recognition. Like, I can recognize people I've seen on the bus once. Like, I can recognize people's face from anywhere. Yeah, and people are like, how do you even remember who I am? Like, I remember people whose like ticket I took at a concert, you know, when I was like volunteering there. Like, yeah. So facial recognition.
My secret talent is being very lazy, and because of my laziness, trying to find the most efficient way of doing something. Yeah, being
Yes.
able to find the most efficient way doing something, because I don't want to work hard, so I try to work very efficiently. That's what I do. Like a lot of the
you're
things that
obsessive about it.
yeah. And people are like, "Oh, I mean, you work so hard." I'm like, "No, I just find the fastest way of getting things done with the least amount of work." I have processes. I work a lot on creating systems and processes, right? That if I stick to, everything just moves forward. What were you were doing something? What did this guy do that you just blocked? Write it down so you can tell me later.
Yeah, I'll talk about it later.
But write it down, because sometimes you forget.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a question. Sabella 2 is saying, I'm neutral on the Israel and Palestine conflict because of my own ignorance on this subject, but I think that the existence of Israel made anti-Semitism worse. Do you think it did or no? In a way, I think that's almost an anti-Semitic trope itself, because it's like blaming Jewish people.
No, that's such a stretch. Like, no, that's a stretch. I think, like, no, it's not true. Did you not see? Okay, here's the thing. Anti-Semitic behavior is still right now the number one form of prejudice and racism, right? However, it's nothing compared to how it was like. I mean, not nothing. It's still something. It was a lot worse. It was a lot worse everywhere on the goddamn planet. It wasn't just like conspiracy theories or like blaming. It was genuine government sponsored discrimination and mob. Like, it was scary time. I mean, I'm not dismissing how bad it is right now, but god damn it, like, if you were like a Jewish person right before World War II, I mean, obviously around World War II, like, that doesn't need to be said, but like, if you were a Jewish person in Russia, in Europe, in United States, anywhere, it was such a it is so scary to just. No, I don't think so. Like, I think actually Um, I think I don't know. There's some respect for the fact that they managed to. They create some. It did create some hate, but it also created like this underdog group of people managed to take their destiny into their own hands and create something and defend themselves against all the threat in the world and become for the first time, like, these are people without a nation, without a government, without an army, like, managed to get together and build all of those things for themselves and create a place where they could go and protect themselves from threat. For a lot of people that demanded like certain level of respect. Okay, again, the anti-Semitic values, I'm still hearing echo, the anti-Semitic views are still there, and they will this the creation of state of Israel will feed into those, but those were already there, and I would argue that they were even stronger before. But that's a good question. I might be wrong about this, by the way. Like, I know that it does. Here's the thing: I'm pretty sure you could go find many examples where this, like, anti-Semitic views, were fueled by creation of the state of Israel. I'm talking about big picture. Just because you can find examples of it, that doesn't mean big picture. Um, it yeah. I don't, and also in so many ways, it might have fueled anti-Semitic values, but on other ways, because the state of Israel is a powerful state, and many governments want to have good relationships with this state, then the governments around the world will have to like fight anti-Semitic views within their own country because they want to maintain good relationships with like the state of Israel. So in some ways, it could help. In some ways, it could backfire. But overall, I think it has become a lot less. In one way you could come back and criticize what I'm saying is that, I mean, just because it's less, that doesn't mean it was because of the state of Israel that it's less. Maybe it would have been even less than it is right now if there was no state of Israel, right? But I don't think so. But I don't have any data to back it up, and I don't think anybody can actually isolate. Just because you see a trend, it's very hard to factor out all the things that are responsible for that trend to be able, especially when it comes to societal like factors like this, coming up with a methodology that basically completely isolates the source of these trends and see if the creation of state of Israel, whether or not has a is a factor or not. It will always, like, for most situations like this, it will stay at the hypothesis level. It wouldn't, unless somebody unless there's a study somewhere that I don't know about. But I would assume that this is going to be very difficult to analyze. But interesting question.
Mustafa had a very good question. Mustafa is asking, have you ever seen Exodus Gods and Kings? I haven't. It alluded to the idea that Moses was probably mentally ill. Could you diagnose other prophets? Well, I think this is a very interesting question. Um, of course, we have to ask the question of, did these prophets actually exist? Or if we do have evidence that these people existed as historical figures and not mythological or mystical figures, um, do we have corroborating evidence that leads us to believe that these symptoms were actually arising? Because if you guys watch Abdullah Samir's channel, which I think is now called The Friendly Ex-Muslim, he often has Abdullah Gondal on the channel. And Abdullah Gondal has a lot of theories about the mental health of Prophet Muhammad, and that he had a form of epilepsy, and that some of the things that are talked about being experienced by Muhammad were maybe forms of mania, and a lot of other things. And he's very intricately studied this. But Armin has a big argument against this, which I will allow you to go into.
I mean, the idea of judging somebody, mentally analyzing somebody, not just across distance but across time, I think it's insane to me. You know what I mean? Especially Moses. We don't even know if Moses was real.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, Moses is not real. Okay, probably not real. Like, the chances of Moses being real is very low. Can you mute me? You mute yourself, sorry. Because guys, Moses, come on. We have archaeological evidence right now that the Exodus story was not real, right? From between Muhammad, Jesus, and Moses, Moses is the least likely one that ever existed. Like, the Moses story is completely made up, okay? But even if you want to go mentally analyze like Muhammad, okay, the Muhammad figure, even though most of the stories about him are made up, the fact that this Muhammad story is based on a person that did something at some point, that is the most likely one. But to come out and say, like, this is why I disagree with Abdullah Samir, that, oh, this one matches this, mental disorder and that mental disorder. Like, we criticize people for trying to mentally do mental evaluations on people that they even people who are professionals, like mental health professionals, when they like try to come up and analyze someone's disorder through like TV, even though somebody exists right now, they get criticized by other mental health professionals that you can't do this. You don't have access to this patient. There's no reliable way for you to, decide what mental disorders this person does or doesn't have, right? Let alone trying to analyze somebody that lived many years ago. Let alone somebody that lived many years ago, with stories that we know almost for sure 90% of it is all made up. One reason, my hypothesis is that one reason maybe, like, for example, that so many of like people like, oh look, but Muhammad's character matches this disorder and that disorder and this, this and that, blah blah blah, is maybe it was because we know, if you actually look at how the Hadith collection was, and Muhammad stories, the process in which these stories were made, a lot of them were political, a lot of them were stories that people made up for their own benefit. But maybe why a lot of them matches some of these mental disorders is because there were other people that came up with claims of prophethood, claims of hearing God, and these were common tropes within the stories of people that heard voices or thought that they were God or a prophet or something like that. So even when you make up a story about prophets, or even if you merge stories of different peoples to create your own God or create your own prophet, it will, whether the imagination of a God is a merger of other people's dreams and stories, or if you create a prophet, it's a merger of other people's claim that they are like sons of God or a prophet of God. These psychological traits of the people that claim these things gets merged into one person. So maybe that's why you keep seeing these common traits being repeated and repeated over and over again in certain characters. That might be the case. It might be not because that person was mentally ill or something. That maybe the stories that were added eventually led to those stories being constantly, those narratives being constantly repeated in certain characters. That's a hypothesis. I have no idea if this is true, but just because it could be true, that means that people like Abdullah claims that Abdullah Samir is making about the prophet being mentally ill should not be taken at face value. Anyways, I took too much time responding to this.
No, it required explanation. Cajun American is asking, what are your thoughts on the backfire effect, and what is your opinion on the best way to change someone's mind? So I looked up the definition of backfire effect, and I'm going to read it just so that we're all on the same page. So this is also known as belief perseverance or conceptual conservatism. Is maintaining a belief despite new information that firmly contradicts it. Some beliefs may even be strengthened when others attempt to present evidence debunking them, a phenomenon known as the backfire effect. And there are three kinds of backfire effects. The familiarity backfire effect, from making myths more familiar, overkill backfire effect, from providing too many arguments, and the worldview backfire effect, from providing evidence that threatens someone's worldview. So this is what is your opinion on best way to change someone's mind is a very complex answer or question. I think that, and this is a broader a solution, but I think we need to make admitting when you're wrong cool. We need to make admitting that you're wrong cool. We need to make admitting that you don't know something cool and okay. Because admitting when you're wrong means that you're actually skeptical and open to changing your mind. And admitting that you don't know something actually shows that you're a very critical thinker and not someone who's just trying to um, show that you're not stupid, where it comes from kind of like an ego thing, which is hard. Um, but I think if more people shared that attitude, more people would be willing to change their mind. I know that since I made the decision that I'm going to be like way more open to being told when I'm wrong, that I'm going to be way more open to saying that I don't know something, like I've seen a big difference in the way that I think about things and the way that I come to conclusions. Someone today was telling me about how I was wrong about certain issues about the Israel Palestine situation. And I was like, cool, thanks for letting me know. Like, send me more information when you want,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. What do you think, Armin? What's the best way to change someone's mind?
No, I
Given,
think your answer was great. I like it when I actually like it when I try to if when I have the patience, okay. Um okay, two things, okay? Given that um we talk to we just putting content out there and not talking to people one on one. I think just putting the content out there with whatever style you're comfortable with is the best way to make sure you constantly create content, and whoever you have an impact on will find you, and whoever doesn't. Instead of like trying to figure out, fine tune the best, most effective way to impact people, I think it's more important to find the most comfortable way that you prefer expressing your opinion, because if you do that instead, you're going to do it more often, and if you do it more often, the likelihood of you affecting somebody is more than if you're like doing it less but coming up with the best way to impact somebody, right? However, if I did have the patience of like before, if I had the patience of making sure like I'm doing all the right things, if I want to focus on somebody, and like right now I'm just like creating content in the most way that I think is fun, right? But if I wanted to like be very mindful, I would like spend a lot of time listening, right? And then highlighting the things that I think they said that is right, and the things I have a problem with, instead of telling them that they're wrong, I would ask them why they think what they said is true. Okay, that's the best way to go about it. But I ain't got no time for that right now, right? I have things to say, and I'm not working on one person at a time. If you want to work on one person at a time, this is, I think, the best method, right? But right now, I just have so much things to say. I'm going to put it out there in the way that I like the most. And if you don't like it, you could go and move on to another channel. I have things to say, and I want to express myself in the way that makes me feel good, right? So, next question.
cool. Vikram has a good question.
Mhm.
Do you think that the internet has made us more impatient or lose focus more quickly? It's become hard for me to read books or listen to people for too long. Well, I can promise
Double
you that there
speed
are
is different.
studies on this. So there are definitely studies on this. So I would like refer my answers to those studies, and there's probably like longitudinal data on this at this point. Um, but I have found this for myself. Like for work right now, I have to do this task that requires like a high degree of focus, where usually a lot of my tasks are kind of like a lower level of focus where I can have something playing in the background. They're quick, I can do things pop in between. A lot of tasks I do are very short and quick and I can bounce back. When I'm doing those, I don't have any trouble focusing. But right now I have to do this task that's taking hours of my time, of a lot of focus, and I am finding it shockingly hard. I reached out to the disability services. I was like, do I need to be tested for ADHD? What do you think, Armin?
No, that's no. I do. Here's the thing. I have this problem as well. I've noticed that if I can't focus on one thing at the same time, so I had to um, be able to do multiple things at the same time without those other things distracting me from consuming information, right? So one thing I do is I listen to audiobooks on double speed, right? So if it's on normal speed, then it's too boring for me to be able to maintain, like the information is not coming at me fast enough. So I have to put it on double speed, which is good because I finish more books. But what I what I also do is I'm on my spinning bike, right? So if I'm just sitting and listening to my audiobook, it's just like I can't focus listening to it because I'm not doing anything else. But if I'm doing something else, like if I'm typing something, I can't listen to the audiobook at the same time because I'm focused mentally, I'm focusing on something else. So I need to be able to do something mentally while physically I'm doing something else. I can't do mentally something and then mentally something else at the same time. So I need to do mentally one thing and physically I need to be doing at the same time so that I feel like I can focus because everything is busy right at the same time. So being on my sitting on my spinning bike while I'm listening to audiobooks is perfect because I'm listening to my books on double speed and my body is busy at the same time. I don't feel like I don't get bored at all. I could sit hours on my spinning bike while listening to audiobooks, which is really good because I'm exercising at the same time. I'm learning at the same time. I feel I go to bed feeling so productive. Like, God damn it, I learned so much today while exercising, and none of it was boring. The book was interesting. My exercise was fun. I just noticed that I need to like these days. I feel like even these two at the same time is not enough. Like I need a third thing. So I built like some shelves right next to my spinning bike where I could like pick a paper and take notes or have a map. I print a map. So if I'm learning about like the history of Christianity, I could like look at the timeline and look at the map while I'm listening to the book. So anyway, so I need to keep busy, right? So that's what I do. That's my
You
strategy.
guys should see Armin's setup doing 3 things at once, like, like it's so intense. And then when we're working together, I'll be like, "Oh, I need to," and you're like, "No, don't make me pause." It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Um, oh, wait, this isn't a question. This is a good comment from Murtad Skeptic. I
Do the
didn't say
Twitch
that
right
right
now.
at all. So this is just for us to note later. I think this is a good idea. Remember that video by McKeen, oh my god, Mukaidima on if Muhammad existed? Yes, that was a lot of fun. It was part of a 3-part series collaboration and useful charts made one on Moses. So maybe we could watch that. That's a pretty good video suggestion.
It basically says what I said.
But let's
There's no
unpack
evidence for
this.
Moses. There's no evidence for Moses.
Abbas has a question. Armin has clearly talked about him being pro-capitalism. So is he planning to make any live streams or videos talking about that? I'm sure there are people willing to challenge.
Well, do it. Challenge me right now. This is your opportunity.
Okay, sir, you're
Yes.
you are a, libertarian, a free market capitalist. Defend yourself.
Well,
I,
it's a system that has brought the highest number of people out of misery and poverty than anything else ever tried. The only thing that and it has its flaws. And being pro-capitalism, that doesn't mean you being against government intervention. Capitalism would not work without some government intervention. A lot of people who are like, oh, you're for capitalism, you don't understand the importance of safety net. Like, no, I do. And like, oh, you're for capitalism, that means that you think government should stay out of everything. No, I don't. Capitalism is not anarchism, right? It's most people who think most people who criticize me for being pro-capitalism. Every time I ask them, okay, what's your problem with capitalism? Everything they say shows to me that they don't even understand capitalism, right? And they don't understand that, being pro-capitalism also doesn't mean that you don't understand the flaws that exist within the capitalist model. Like, it's obviously but it is the best thing that we have right now. That doesn't mean that it's flawless, right? But and also we will eventually replace capitalism with something better at some point, but that will happen because of the fact that capitalism made technological advancement possible in a way that we get to replace. Like, even if we one day come up with something much better than capitalism, it's going to be thanks to capitalism that made resources so plentiful for that transition to become possible.
Very based. I'm not super familiar with Marxism, but I think he made a similar argument.
Yeah, actually,
on a step to something better.
Yeah. So this is actually very Marxist way of defending capitalism. The only difference is because if you study Marxism, Marx also argues that you need capital, like, to be able to get to his utopian view of what society is going to be like. You need to go through capitalism. Like, capitalism is a necessary step in his opinion. However, the only difference is that he thinks like some violent, like some form of revolution, breaking the whole thing apart is what's necessary to go to the next phase. But what actually going to make humanity go to the next phase is extreme technological advancement that's going to make resources so plentiful, and labor and leisure time so abundant that that's naturally, without any revolution, is going to make us move to the next phase without anybody having to break anything apart. That's the difference between a Marxian view on viewing to the next phase compared to what I'm suggesting. But somebody on Twitch is saying, hello, question mark. This could have been a question and we would have highlighted, but all you did was shout and put question mark.
Wait, shoot, I had a good question. Okay, here's one. What movie has changed your way of handling issues? You just took the question from me.
Sorry. Do it again. Sorry.
Okay. Ghost Bunny is asking, what movie changed your way of handling issues? That's tough. I don't typically look for movies as a way to...
The Truman Show made me question everything as a teenager. Handling issues made me have like a crisis. Made me like, yeah, the Truman Show has made me even consider thinking about the world and having a philosophical view about everything. Yeah, it was the Truman Show. Does anybody else have had this impact? Like, anybody else watched the Truman Show and had an existential, crisis?
I've never seen the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, I don't know anything anymore. I watched that movie. I was like, yeah.
I'm most familiar with documentaries. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And randomly, it is the documentary Murder Ball, which is about quadriplegic rugby. And the sport was originally called Murder Ball, and then they changed it for marketing purposes. But guys, if you want to see a badass sport, look up quadriplegic rugby. And the reason why it changed my way of handling issues is because you just see these men, some of them are veterans, who have certain degrees of immobility, and they strap themselves into these little wheelchairs that look like little Mad Max tanks, and they just go ramming into each other like hard. It's like rugby, but with wheelchairs. And it made me make the decision to go volunteer with my local wheelchair rugby team. And I think just learning, being around people who are part of that sport and part of that community did make me change the way that I handle issues. Just a lot more toughness, more stoicism, and like this dogged determinism is, I think, something I learned from that movie. You know, you have a major challenge in life and you're like, no, I'm going harder. I'm not going to let you treat me like I'm fragile. I'm going harder. And I think that was an important lesson. Awesome movie. Guys, go check out Murderball.
Samigo saying the Truman Show also made him question things. But Samigo also said The Matrix. Well, the Truman Show was the original Matrix. The whole idea of everything being an illusion, blah blah. By the way, I'm not saying everything is an illusion and all that, but it still made me like, I think like teenagers need to go through a phase of nothing is real before they start actually building something more concrete about their view. Like I don't like. I mean, I'm not saying like, but I'm just saying it's a natural phase for you to think. A lot of people went through a phase of like nothing is real, everything is like an illusion, and then you have that crisis and then come out of it and maybe build more solid. I'm thinking that you have like you come up with the most profound thing. By the way, every time like not every time, I'm exaggerating, but many times like when you go a teenager, I'm just talking out of my own experience, right, that comes up with the conclusion that everything is an illusion and nothing is real. It's interesting that we think like we just came up to the most profound realization in history, and we have figured out something that nobody else has figured out. And then once we start reading philosophy, we're like, oh, wait a minute, people have been saying this over and over and
Armin,
over
it's
again
really interesting
for centuries.
It's really
Right.
interesting that you would say that, because that is actually, I think, reflects something that is a standard part of moral development. So if we think about moral development from being an infant to adulthood, let's just like think of it as a trajectory, right? So you're starting to learn more about cooperation, how to treat people. And then when you hit adolescence, there's actually a dip in like moral behavior. It's because when you hit adolescence, you start to question what society taught you. And you start to observe from adults how arbitrary so many rules that society has decided on are. And that's why teenagers are like, we don't need these rules. We could all just like live this way. You know, it's very defiant, because you realize how it's all so much of what we learn and do and the way we behave is just socially constructed.
Right.
And so that's why teenagers act out. There's this dip in morality. But then as you get further into adulthood, you realize like, we need these rules for a reason. Actually, they're actually very useful. Not all of them are good, but we're working towards utility, right? Did that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes sense that these questions happens around the same time that you would expect them to come up. That's interesting. Anyways, next.
Let's see from Gossam. Which one of our daily tasks will be the most ridiculous from people living 100 years from now? Washing our butts after pooing, or needing to brush our teeth every night? I don't even know if it would be either of those. Honestly, I hope 100 years from now, the most ridiculous daily task is eating.
I was going to say the same thing. They actually have to put organic
Energy.
material.
Yeah.
No, they have to actually put living things in their in their mouth for energy. Like, can you imagine like putting dead flesh in your chewing on dead flesh and other organic material and relying on chemical, digestion in your own, gross, in their own body, like it goes and there's like gets mixed with this acid and stuff, and they get their energy out of these breaking apart the compound and natural things, and they actually go collect other living beings and get their energy out of their chemical bonds within other living things. They have to actually go do that. They get their energy out of things that grow out of the ground.
I
Like
am
what?
going to be
Savages.
I'm going to be so excited for the day where we don't have to eat. Okay, and don't get me wrong, I actually love eating. It is a very enjoyable experience. My roommate is cooking something right now that smells amazing.
Mhm.
Like, it smells so good. I want some. But it is such a pain in the butt. I spend so much time, we all spend so much time thinking about what we're going to eat, where we're going to get it, how long is it going to take to make it, how long do I have to eat it? Like, so much time goes in. I'm going to be, when can we get batteries? I want a battery.
No, yeah, yeah. I think most of the things that we do for staying alive, um, or procreation, eventually we're gonna do just for fun, not because we need to.
Not
And we get
procreation, just recreation, baby. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, we've already been going for an hour.
Yeah.
Do you want to go more?
Yeah, just a little bit more. Just some good questions.
Well, you go ahead and highlight one if you see them.
Okay, wait. When will we witness the concept? When will we witness the concept of teleporting come to fruition?
Oh, ask someone who knows anything about physics because I do not.
Well, I mean, if you teleport, then you technically committed suicide, right? You died because the only way to teleport is to recreate all the subatomic particles that makes like create, recreate all your subatomic particles of you in another location, right? And if you do that, if you want it to be, instead of copying you a teleportation, then you also have to eliminate the original one, right? But here's a question: why do you delete the original one? Why not just do the copy without deleting the original one? Because if you do delete the original one, then did you actually teleport? I mean, that other thing, that other version of you over there, maybe on Mars or something, is going to have all your memories. It's going to feel like you. It's going to think like you. It's going to think like, yeah, I was on Earth and now I'm on Mars. So it's going to feel exactly like you teleportation. But is it really you? Because you could technically not have deleted the original version and it would have felt the exact same way. So by deleting the original version, did you just kill yourself by teleporting? Or did you copy yourself and deleted the original, or did you teleport? That's the question. Okay. Because if you copy and deleted yourself, then you technically committed suicide, right? And here's another question. If that is suicide, but here's another way somebody could say that's not suicide. Because if that is suicide, then we are already dying every second, or at least every minute, right? Because the difference with, because if you say like, well, if the material changes, if it's not the original same material, then that's not me. Then what is you? Is you the mapping of your brain? Because it is you. And if you the original material being deleted, if that means you're dying, then dying is not that big of a deal, because I just died 10 times since the beginning of the stream, right? The person you're talking right now is not necessarily the same person that you were talking to at the beginning of the stream. So that's why, by the way, let me tell you this. This is very interesting, because that will bring a whole new perspective to memento mori. Okay.
Oh,
because
snap.
the Stoic idea that remember that the the idea that you have to constantly remember that you die, if you think about it in the way that if you re-evaluate that, rethink that the Stoic idea that remember that you're going to die, maybe it's not about, if you think about it in a way that you're not going to die eventually, but that you are actually dying every day, right? Then memento mori will become even more um, makes it even more important to focus on making every day better, right? Because the Stoic idea that suggests that you have to remember that you die is so that you value life as it's happening right now, instead of constantly building for something else, right? But if we're dying every day, then the fact that you are working for a better tomorrow and wasting today and not being happy today means that you wasted your life, because you were only alive for today. The person that lives tomorrow is not you. You wasted the only chance at your happiness because you died today. And your death also becomes very insignificant, because the person that dies at age 80 is not you. You're going to die today. The person that lives tomorrow is not the person that you were today. But then some people think that, well, that's a very dangerous way of living, because then you're going to waste everything. You're going to not work for building a better future for yourself, and you're going to like go and like just have fun and not work on your career and not study and maybe just have fun. And that's, you should work on your future. But no, what you don't understand is that you can get a lot of pleasure today by working on your future, right? Because this is what the concept of identity, the concept of being self-aware, brings the future, the pleasures of future today. This is the genius, the behind how our brain was wired in a way that makes us build some things for, we plant trees even if we don't get to see those trees, unlike other animals that are seem to be constantly focusing on working for right now. Humans seem to build. This is why we have empires, we have cities, we have careers, right? Because we have long-term planning. We're sacrificing the pleasures of today for pleasures of tomorrow. However, are we really sacrificing? Because I would argue that we're not sacrificing. The fact that we associate me, like I, the concept of an I, as something that continues from today to tomorrow, and being self-aware that that person that I'm imagining 5 years from now or 10 years from now is basically me. This illusion of identity, this illusion of me being a concept, manages to migrate all the pleasures, the imagination of how my life is going to be 5 years from now. It basically brings it in the present, and it makes me able to enjoy some of that pleasure of that image of me tomorrow today. And that's why when I'm building, when I see making, like when I'm working and I'm making slow progress towards that image, I get to enjoy watching those progress, watching the step, like the satisfaction and the meaning and the enjoyment that I'm getting from watching myself move towards that end goal is actually the real source of pleasure and meaning that one gets, more than actually arriving at that destination. That destination that you're imagining, that's your North Star. Because once you get there, that the pleasure from arriving there is not going to last very long. It's going to maybe last like just maybe a week or so. The most of the pleasure that you were getting was watching yourself move towards the goal that you have defined for yourself, right? And that's how you get to experience the pleasures of an imaginary future today. So again, memento mori.
Music guy saying the equations meme going on in my mind right now. White woman doing calculations, functions. Yeah, I think that's a good note to end on today.
Okay, cool. All right, cool guys. This was fun. We're gonna do this again soon. So subscribe to this channel if you want to participate.
But most importantly,
Q&As. Yes. Oh yeah.
Subscribe to the newsletter so you can get more sexy Kali and blasphemous art.
Yes.
We have a juicy art that is coming out as the finale this month. Like at the end of every month, we kind of have a little bit of a finale. And this one, so guys, also sign up for our Patreon where you can get the sexy versions of our blasphemous art, and they are sexy.
More important than that.
This one is good.
No, but the more important thing is that once you subscribe to a newsletter, I still am not getting emails from people telling us to stop. Okay, I'm like our community, Susie. Our community doesn't care about us. Okay,
That's
tell
not
people,
true.
no, they don't, because the people who subscribe to our newsletter, I say this every time, okay? The people who subscribe to our newsletter, we send them, we make like very beautiful, very expensive, detailed, gorgeous, blasphemous art. Very sexy, very juicy, very beautiful. And then they subscribe to our newsletter, and then they say they know they don't deserve this. They know they didn't do anything to. All they did was they subscribed to our newsletter, and then they see that we're sending them sometimes one, sometimes two blasphemous art to them for free in their inbox,
A
and
week.
none of them are emailing us back and saying this is too good. You're spoiling us. Like they don't.
Armin,
They,
I
they,
don't
they should
want
they
that
should be like,
clogging up
guys,
our
you're sending
inbox.
us. This is
I
too
don't
much.
want that in our
They
inbox.
should reply, guys, like, guys, stop. You're spoiling us. This is too good. Why are you not charging us for all this free blasphemous art? This is too good. You should be charging for at least half of this. Stop it, guys. You're giving too much good stuff away. You're treating us too good. They're not sending us that email. I'm very they're just taking advantage of us without making us stop, right? If they did care about us, they would tell us to stop. All right. Anyways, if you want to take advantage of our generosity, like the leeches that you are, then then subscribe.
Why do you do this?
Then
I'm so
subscribe.
sweet. And I
Subscribe to our
try so
newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter and get all the free blasphemous art that you know you don't deserve. You know you don't deserve it, but we're
Armin.
still giving it to you anyways, right? This is how good we are to you, right? At least say thank you so much. We know we don't deserve this, but you guys are just that kind, okay? All right. And also, for the idiots who are supporting us financially while they're suffering financially, right? Stop supporting us financially if you're struggling. The only people who need to be supporting us on Patreon are the people who are comfortable with their finances, okay? So if you think like our blasphemous art is good and you want to see a more like new, juicy, not safe for work version of it, you could pay to become a patron and support us and get the juicier version of that. But if you are struggling financially, do not do that. The not safe for work version of it is not as good. That the safe for work version of it is not as good as the not safe for work version of it, but it's still pretty good. It's still pretty juicy, and it's free. So only support us financially if you are comfortable. Okay. Otherwise,
I agree with that.
don't support us financially if you're struggling. Okay. It's stupid. Don't think like, oh, I'm struggling
Oh my
financially,
god.
but I care about you guys so much that I have to. No, you're an idiot. Okay. The reason why you're poor is because you're being so dumb with your
Stop
money.
it! I'm gonna end this podcast right now.
All right. Bye. All right. Subscribe to our newsletter. Link in the description. Bye.
Oh.